I want to show you a couple things that just really explain why I've had so much anger towards school. I just thought, like, God, this is fucking stupid. We're not gonna fucking do it. Are you gonna do it? As I was watching it, you see this shift. And this may get a little dark to me. I would say it's just the ebb and flow of life. I found an earth science book or a notebook, which is barely written in, because that sounds like me. And there were, let's see, 2007 to 2008. So junior, I was a junior. Because from 8 to 9 is when I graduated, right? No, I would have been a sophomore. I don't know, I graduated in June of 2009, so I don't fucking know. But listen to some of the stupid fucking shit they were teaching. There's a test here with 27 questions. First of all, I only got up to 21, and I only got 7 right out of 27, which is about average for me. That's not, to me, I'm like, that's not bad. Here's what I got. What is a planet's backwards motion in the sky called? What point in a planet's orbit is close to the sun? I just said a focus. What model of our solar system did Copernicus propose? Got that wrong. A planet's average distance from the sun is also the part of the orbital ellipse. Identify a belt and a zone. What is the direction of movement of each? And I didn't even answer that right. What planet is not classified as a gas giant? There's so much stupid shit. Climate change in here. Dry climate, mild climate, tropical climate. They're like, looking at these tests of mine, I got so much shit wrong in this earth science crap. What the fuck did I need any of this for? What a waste of fucking time this was. No wonder I feel fucking stupid. You force kids to do these stupid fucking things they don't care about. Not one time did I think, like, I need to understand the magnitude of this fucking planet compared to that one. What kind of magnitude star? A bunch of made up shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not playing this shit. This is stupid. This is no different than religion to me. It's just dumb. I was just like, I found this because I was looking for a chord, but that's beside the point. But yeah, I found this, and it's like, geez, man, like, no wonder my fucking grades were so bad. I think I was able to keep all my records. I don't have them at my house, but I was able to get all the records from my schooling from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And every fucking year as I was looking through it, it was just like not using his full potential, or daydreaming, being off in la la land, as they used to say all the time. You're la la land, which I'm like, what the fuck is a la la? And like, there was all this stuff here and there about not doing whatever. I don't even remember. But when I graduated with it was either between a 1.23 or a 1.64. So none of it fucking mattered to me. And I know they tried to make it like it did. Like, you know, these grades are gonna really matter, and, you know, this fucking, you need to, like, I don't really remember them ever getting on me about trying to find a college course, because I think they knew I was a loser. So I probably wasn't gonna go to college. So that's whatever. But I remember people taking all this shit so fucking seriously. And I don't know. It's just like everything else in life. I would just look around and watch and just be like, what the fuck are these people doing? Why do they act like this shit matters so much? I just remember that. Like, just being astounded by the hypocrisy and the idiocy and the fucking, like, well, I'm smart because I pay attention in school and I do what they tell me to do and I get the good grades, and I'm gonna go off to this college and fucking do this and that or whatever. And I just was like, never once did you ever reach me on a human level. It was always, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to pay attention to this, you need to get good grades, you need to go through this fucking chapter and tell me, we're going to have a little review at the end and we're going to grade you on the review and see how much you retain. And it's like, why are you teaching me this stupid fucking shit about planets? 19 out of 33. That's not a bad score. That's not bad at all. At least to me, but maybe someone else thinks that's bad. I would say that's pretty good. Then you have, I don't even know, they always show this. These stupid fucking graphs, and it's like, I don't even understand what the fucking point is. Why is it always like that? What are these numbers and those numbers? Like, what the fuck does any of this even mean? Why am I learning about AGN and Aristar, whatever the hell that word, Arisars, and supernovas, and Milky Way, and global clusters, and Hubble's law, learning about galaxies, and like, this is just one. I remember this. It was sit in stupid fucking classes like this and just go like, this is retarded. And then it's like, okay, we're gonna push you off to this class, and now you need to learn about social sciences, or now you need to learn about whatever the fuck it was, like social studies, whatever that was, or history. So I was like, okay, history's a little interesting. But then we started learning about shit I didn't give a fuck about. Like indoctrination shit, like here's the founding fathers, and here's the laws, and we created the Declaration of Independence, and here's this and that. And then we would kind of glaze through other histories and shit, and I just found, like, in civics, whatever the fuck civics was, you know, I've been out of school since 2009, so however many fucking years that is, I don't know. Now, a lot of it's gone. Luckily, I was able to purge a lot of this unnecessary bullshit out of my head. Now, I get their purpose. You kind of throw the darts at the board and hope it hits, and hope one kid gets the earth science and goes with it. Hope one kid takes the civics and goes with it. Or the political bullshit and goes with it. Like, you're kind of casting a wide net on a fucking group of kids. And what that teaches me, what that tells me, which is similar to this, and the idea of consciousness, there is this force. I have to believe it. There's the force amongst the people. I wish I had the book here, Morals and Dogmas by Albert Pike, who was a Freemason of the Scottish Rite of the 33rd degree, or whatever the fuck it was. Believe whatever you want with that. But the first fucking paragraph, out of the prologue, talks about the force. That's the first fucking thing. The chapters go by degrees. I don't know if that's just each chapter is an understanding of that degree, but whatever. And the first chapter talks about the force and the people. And I've talked about it so many fucking times on here that I haven't memorized. The guided intellect by philosophy, or just philosophy, creates the consciousness of mankind, almost like a figurehead, and the people are just but a force. And if you give them the guided intellect, this philosophy of understanding, whether it be some sort of bullshit constitutional things, or cultural, or injustice, or whatever it is, you're able to take them and put them inside this, like, kind of robotic, if you want to think of it that way, or like this computer kind of program. And from that point, you can do this, and that with them. People are a force. They are raw power. A group of people in a riot, for instance, look what they can achieve, if you want to call it the word achieve. Look what they can destroy, more like. That is because people in groups, just like animals, you know, become a one consciousness. There is such thing, I believe, as unity consciousness, and that can be achieved through those means. So I can understand the schooling system tries to play it and predicate on that. And I'm not saying for ill purposes, but eventually it can be. Ill purposes even when we say, I am meant good, but it ended up destroying it. That kind of thing. It's not like I set out to, like, we shall destroy it. It's more like, my misguided nature, I really thought I was doing a good thing, but in actuality I was doing something bad. That's when you gotta start putting the system on trial. But whatever. That's kind of what I understand about schooling is, and how they teach and stuff. Everything matters in its own way, but not to everyone, and there's no way you can fucking go forth with that. Someone like me. I've talked about my schooling here and there about it. I've talked about how it went, but I will reiterate it here because this is what this video is about apparently. I always, when I went to school, I have very vivid memory at times, but most of the time it's a fog. But I do remember always being afraid. As soon as I knew I had to go, fear, anxiety, stress, all this shit. I fucking hated it. I hated everything about it. I have to put these special clothes on because I like to, you know, as a little boy, I like to run around in fucking dirty clothes. I didn't give a shit. But now I can't do that, you know, or I have to sit in these fucking rooms and listen to these fucking people talk about stupid fucking shit that I don't care about, or whatever the hell it may be. It was always a prison in my mind. A fucking prison, from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. I hated it. I was terrified and I fucking hated it. I tried to stay as quiet as I could for as long as I could. I tried to ignore every fucking thing that ever happened. I did what they wanted me to do as best as I wanted to do it, and my grades reflect that. There was no motivating factor for me to continue this, though constantly they were probably saying things like, these grades, this MEP test, this what were the other ones, SAT, I don't know, all these tests, they will matter. You know, this meant you need to get a diploma, you need to graduate, you need to do this, like this will matter, this will matter, this will matter. And it was always echoed and echoed and echoed, and for some reason it didn't fucking mean a thing to me. I just would say like, okay, whatever, and I would go home, and what mattered to me was my friends and my family and my social situation in the trailer park that I grew up in. That's what fucking mattered to me. I mean, it's still like that today for me. Like, I don't really give a fuck about the work bullshit. I'm like, what matters is these videos, my friends, and my family and stuff. That's all I really give a fuck about. And my book, of course. Other than that, don't give a shit. That outlook shaped me a lot. And I talked about it before, like the bullying of the kids and how weird kids are. And I learned that like people are fucking more sinister than they appear. And it was a thing for me that I realized, much like in the hero's journey, it was just, I stepped out into the threshold barrier. I think they call it this the threshold, or the threshold guardian would be like the object in front of it, but whether that be physical or like material or something. I just think it was like that for me, where I was in, like they always describe it as not in Kansas anymore moment. And every time I stepped in that school, I was like, man, we're on a different stream here. This is definitely weird. And I just, like a spectator, watched. I didn't make friends at school. I didn't want to. I didn't participate to get attention. I never raised my hand for questions. I never wanted to be noticed. In fact, I got so good at it that you wouldn't even have known. Like, I never told anybody about this in school, but I knew a perfect way to never get called. Don't ever sit in the back, always sit in the front, and just stare at the teacher. That's it. I swear, they never call on you when you do that. If you sit in the back and try to hide, they want to bring you up. So I learned how to kind of be a social chameleon, how to manipulate people for my own intent. That's the shit I fucking learned in school. I'm not very, happy to admit it, but I learned how to manipulate. I learned that, and I took that home with me. And I learned how to make people do things I wanted them to do when I wanted them to do it, without any recourse or feeling bad about it. I remember I would get to the point where I'd tell people to do and say something, and they would do it and get in trouble, look like an idiot, and I'd just be like, why did you do that? And they'd say, because you told me to. And I was like, okay. And I just said, well, I'll continue to do this if you're going to allow it. I learned a bad part of myself too. The schooling activated that in me as well. I never really liked using that too much, but sometimes you had to. Also, I used a lot of manipulation of using my emotions in school. Well, if I'm coming across as the weepy, quiet kid, well, the teachers are going to look at me a lot different, either pathetically or like, a sweet little thing, Or they would tell my parents, like, he's just so good and so quiet. We almost want him to do something bad to know he's a real child. I swear they would say that at my parent-teacher conferences and shit. Even up till high school. You know what I mean? Like, but the idea was remain a ghost, remain undetected, even right in front of you. I do this shit at work still. There are people at work that have not heard me say 2 words, and I've worked with them for fucking years. There are people who don't understand anything about me because I put on the persona of a quiet, stupid kind of guy. I don't say much. I even act kind of goofy, quietly to myself, and I want people to think that. I learned that behavior from going to school. Come across as someone that nobody wants to talk to, then they'll never bother you. Meanwhile, we're learning stupid shit. And so I gotta sit in these dumb fucking classes. I'm in earth science. It says 6th hour, whatever that means. And so just imagine that, sitting in a class, right at the front, if we didn't have assigned seats, right at the front, just looking at the teacher, just that. That's all I did, just because I don't want you to call on me. Because you do, I don't know what you're talking about. You're like, so what is the nucleus of a star? I'm like, because I wasn't listening to you. I was daydreaming the whole time. Just thinking about like, man, if I go home and I play Star Wars again, I wonder if I should make a new thing in that Galactic Battleground game. I wonder if I should make a new fortification and stuff. Or, you know, when we go home, I can't wait to go outside and play in the woods again. You know, I can't wait to go play Army in the woods. Or like, should we play Navy or maybe Army? I don't know. But then again, I kind of got, we should probably build that net to play hockey, you know. That's what I was really doing in my head. And just sitting there just, because I don't give a fuck. I never did. And that's truly affected me on a level where it's gained this perspective here. I didn't retain a whole lot there in school. I retained the basics. How to read, how to write, cognitive thinking on a certain degree, and whatever the fuck else basic shit school teaches you, you know. Interacting with other people. I learned that stuff clearly, but I don't really remember all the bullshit, like the earth science or the physics or the mathematics or the fucking certain histories they taught us, or I don't know, whatever else like subjects there are. Barely English, clearly. Read my book, you'll be like, dude, did you like pay attention to English? No. That's affected me on a level where now I tried to form my own opinion, but because I was so quiet in the schooling system, doing that made me kind of feel like I was a step behind. I had to really rely on the innermost turmoil in my heart, or the innermost intellectualism within my head. And later on, I'd be influenced by other kids once I got older and out of school. I started getting influenced by other people's opinions and thoughts. But that's a whole separate thing. We're not going to go there. But eventually in schooling, they decided I need to go in special ed. And I only remember one instance of it happening in real time. It was some sort of math class. It was middle school or something, around middle school times. And we were in math class, and there was this aide to the blind girl. And I was afraid to talk to everyone except for her, and I would always ask her for help. And she, you know, I didn't know that she wasn't necessarily there for me. I didn't know that she necessarily didn't know what was going on. She just helped the girl read because she couldn't fucking see. Or just like, hey, you know, you got a paper in front of you, you know, they're having you do that. Like, that's all she was. But I would always like, I don't know what to do, what do I do? And eventually she's told the teacher, like, yeah, he's coming up to me a lot, probably. And the moment I remember was this. The teacher was at the front of the classroom, and she was talking about math for whatever, in math class. I don't know what it was, and she's like, okay. And so that's what we're going to kind of do, is everyone kind of got it? And everyone's like, hmm. And then all of a sudden she's like, all right, let's get to it. And then they all got quiet, went to their work. And I just sat there, I was like, oh, I have no idea what's going on right now. But I am too terrified to fucking ask or draw any attention to myself. Not even raise my hand and quietly like go, I don't know what I'm doing. So I just sat there and sat there and sat there. And then I remember like I would do that every day in that class. I just kept sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. And then eventually a special ed teacher walked in the room and said, hey, do you want to come down in this room with us? And I was like, okay. And so when I went down there, I didn't realize what it was, but I was being led to the special ed math department. This was the last hope that we had, and from there it just gets sadder. So I remember them really fucking trying. I remember that. I was just like, I don't know the multiplication. It doesn't make sense. And like, we can teach you. And in class, we would do these flashcards. And then I would kind of get it, and then I wouldn't, and then I'd kind of get it, I wouldn't. And then I'd go home, and they'd have my mom, flashcards. This times this is what? This times this is what? And we kept doing that and doing that and doing that, and I just wasn't retaining it. I felt so fucking stupid. I was like, we've been doing these flashcards for so long. I don't have any perception of how much we were doing it. I just remember it was a while, and it wasn't registering. It wasn't sticking. I was in middle school, you know, from 5th to 8th grade. I couldn't tell you what years these were. And it just was not sticking. It just, I couldn't. 8 times 8. I'm like, I don't know, 88, 62, 49, you know. I'm still like that. I still don't know. I have no idea what 16 times 4 is. I don't even know how to begin to think about that. You know, like, I try to, it's always been like this in my mind. I try to tell people and they say, no, it's not that hard. I'm like, dude, it really is. I don't know even like, I don't even know how to go there. It's like 8 times 8 is an area over here. All you gotta do is walk over there. I'm like, I don't even know how to make it to that point. I don't even know. I'm confused. Like, what's the point? Why am I aiding an 8? What does that mean? Do I have to, is this a way of thought that I am not using or something? And so it would just be this whole thing for me in school. They didn't give up necessarily, but I don't remember them doing the flashcards anymore. And I don't remember having homework anymore. And all of a sudden now I'm in English special ed. Because I was just sitting there going like, what the fuck is going on here? And that slowly devolved. I remember in middle school in special ed, which I was in special ed for most of my classes, they kind of kept on pace, but like they slowed it down, they made it simpler or whatever. I swear though, once I hit high school, we didn't even, high school math in Tecumseh, Michigan. I remember going in there and we had this piece of paper and all along it were multiplications. Like this times this equals what? This times what? And you keep going and it's like, let's see how much you can get done in whatever it was. I don't remember how many minutes, 5, 10 or whatever. And then we would, okay, we're doing that. I didn't get very far, obviously, because I had to use the dash system. Like 8 times 8. Okay, I have 8, so if I draw 8 times and I just count the dashes, that's what it is. I figured out. So I would just, and it just took me a lot longer, clearly. I was like, okay, 8 times 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3. 1, 2, 3. That's how I did every single fucking problem, because I'm like, that's what they want. I'll give it to them, because apparently this fucking matters. And then we're like, okay, time's up. Hand to God. We're gonna watch a Disney movie now. And so we would just fucking watch movies. And then the next day we'd come in like, we're gonna show you how to write checks. And we'd write a check. Do that stupid fucking math sheet again. And okay, movie time. And I was just like sitting there like, this is okay, fine. What the fuck am I doing here? I have no memory of what I did in special ed English. But like, I thought, like, I didn't at the time think this, but I do now. It's like I was kind of given up on. Someone thought differently. Someone questioned something, not intellectually, but because they didn't... How do I word this? You watch these videos, you can kind of see that I sit there and question things way too much. I'm like, why exactly is this, why are we, I can't help who I am. Or I've been told I read into things too much. Not everything's that deep. You worry too much about it. You just fucking do it. That's all I've ever heard. It hurts my feelings because it's like, the way your brain works? It's fucking stupid. Stop doing it. And so that's how it always made me feel. It's just like, someone's like, I want you to take this paper and I want you to write down what I tell you to write down on it. It's essentially what they're fucking saying. And all I was going like, well, why do I have to write this down? What's the purpose of it? Why do I need to? What is this? Like, why are we doing it? And apparently that's so bad for society. Even amongst like people in my friend groups would like to stop worrying so much. You're overthinking it. Which is, all I'm hearing is, you need to follow orders. When people tell you to do things, just do them. It makes it easier. And that's what I learned from school. Like, that's what I took out of it. You know what I mean? Some people take out of it this, and that, and, it helps me get my bachelor's degree in psychology, and, whatever the fuck they took from it, I don't know. God bless them. But for me, it was just, this is a prison that I'm being forced to think and act a certain way, and I'm being, oh, good boy, you did a good job. I'm gonna give you an A+. And I'm like, what does that fucking mean? What's the grading system? This is ridiculous. If you do what I say, when I say to do it, and you do it right, I will allow you to go to the next grade with all these other kids. Because that should matter to you. Like, I felt like it was just some big fucking joke, and it was some big game, but also it was a big psychological, like, thing that they were doing to me. Like, they were... like, I felt manipulated. Like I was being lied to, like I was having a carrot dangled in front of my fucking head. You just be a good boy, you do these things. Now, it's not my natural mode to act out. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I kind of go inside myself, or however you say that. I kind of shut down. And it's just like a behavior I learned, and as I was getting older, I noticed I had all these like weird traumas. And I never knew why. Like, there were some things from home life, that I don't need to go into, but I realized a lot of it was feeling lied to because of the schooling system. It's so true. Like, I don't think people understand when you say that, how would I word that? That children are manipulated, and like that children are put in these like cookie cutter, I guess is the word you could use, or like you be this box and you follow this and you do that, indoctrinated or whatever it is, that you get rewarded. And I watch the reward system. Again, I wasn't intellectually going, interesting, I shall have theories of this later. It was just being a human being, watching all this stuff, watching children being punished for having a personality. Not like smacked or anything like necessarily yelled at, but sometimes they were. More like punished in a way of a shunning. Or like outside of school, and the kids that had to be on Ritalin and shit because they had ADD and they were, Our modern society won't understand this, but that's a fucked up thing to do to someone because they're a human. you know, or watching kids bully other kids, or doing weird hazing rituals, or having social hierarchies that don't fucking matter. Watching all this shit. Watching teachers that are just fucking humans take their shit out on people. Sometimes in really weird ways. The things that they would do to us, the things that they would put us through. It felt like, as I reflect, I didn't necessarily feel this at the time, but man, it was, I think, psychological torture. I think it was mass manipulation, and I think it was... The teachers didn't mean bad, but they were created in a society that taught them all these fucked up things, and they took it into this system, this school system, and they spread it onto us. Their inadequacies, their feeling better because they're like, I know so much of natural science and this and that, but it's like they're a fucking failure, and they know it in some aspect. The teachers that meant the most to me were the ones that blew through that. I can only remember 2. And they were the special ed teachers, the math special ed teachers. They tried so hard with me. They gave a shit. They had a deepness, a soul about them that was special. They were human beings, and they weren't afraid to admit it. They never came across as like, yes, and I'm the teacher, so make sure you understand that I have the knowledge in the room. They never came across that way, and I respected that. I tried for them. I did. I was like, I will give a shot this, and I know I can't do it, but I'll try, and I'll show you that I'm not doing this to rebel. I'm doing this because I'm a fucking retard, and I don't get it. I don't know how they feel about me or how they felt, but they made me feel like cared about. They came up to me and made me feel like an individual that has his own problems. Not a group, not one of, like, oh, this one shines brightest, this one's the, like, they made me feel like a human being. And that's the only shit that I really cared about. It's like, wow, so okay, I'm okay being a fuck up, you know? Like, they don't make me feel so bad about it. Because clearly this shit will stay with you. A lot of people pretend it doesn't. A lot of people try to ghost it away in their heads, but it's all here, you know? Everything's in here. It doesn't just, like, you don't hear something, it's like, well, I don't know, and it goes away. No, it stays inside of your head, and you either fucking can get it out, go through it, like therapy in a sense, or it stays in there and affects the way you are. Remember how I told you words are incantations? Words are magic. They fucking are. I throw some fucking shit at you and say, like, your childhood was a lie. I'm not saying that, but pretend I do. You're not gonna be like, yeah. You could access something in that. You could flick on a light and go, holy shit, wait a minute. Yeah, that's right, you know, or whatever it is. Like, it stays in there. Everything you've ever heard, felt, thought, and seen is all in here. In drawers, right? For me, the trauma of school, let alone the bullying, I mean, that's over here. That's not even including the bullying. It's all in the head, and it's all shaped who I am as a person, and created this adult now, this man, who never feels adequate to himself and to others, who tries as hard as he can to just matter to people. I was talking to my my wife, and I've talked about before how people are reading the draft of my book, and I was like, honestly, I just want you to read it to validate me. That's it. Everyone that has the book, I just want to be fucking validated. I just want to be told, I acknowledge that you did this and this is you. Like when you show someone your favorite song, or your favorite book, or your favorite video game, or whatever it is, you're showing them a side of yourself and you're saying, please accept this, this is me. That's what my book is. And now I'm this guy that is just like, all I want is to be validated, and I try as hard as I can to matter to people because I'm afraid everyone's going to leave me. And so I'm like, well, if I'm overly, everything they want to be, then they'll never leave, right? I have these strange inadequacies that have shaped the way I live my life. I'm trying to be a better person and get out of these trappings, and I've gotten better, but it's still an instinct. It's natural. You've been doing it for 30 plus years. You can't just undo that. Just like some people are more combative and they look at situations and get instantly like, no, I don't, it's something you can't help. My wife is like that. She's just, as soon as you question her on some sort of emotional level, something that even hurts my feelings, she's like, no, that's not true. You are the one that hurts my feelings. That's her barrier that she has to get through. Well, mine is pleasing and making people all feel special so they can validate me and say, I do matter. Wow, you did this for me. You made me laugh, or you made me smile, or you were nice. I'm going to validate you. And I'm like, thank God, I'm alive. That's part of the things I've learned from schooling, the aspects of schooling. I also learned manipulation. I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud that I know how to manipulate and how to force people to do what I want. It's a skill that I've been trying to undo, but it's one that comes so natural. It's not ever me. It's not like you're gonna I don't bully people. I passively do it. I just sit back and I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue. And like maybe and I do it in a way where it's like very, oh, he's just a bumbling idiot. It's okay. Just like I had to do in school. And schooling kind of also made me realize that society's fucked up. It always has been and it always will be. Society's weird. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's strange, in fact. And nothing really matters to me. I'll always look at having to learn something as a challenge of like, okay, I'll fight this shit. You know what I mean? Like, whether that has to do with my genetics or that has to do with my upbringing and what it was like outside of school, we could go into that. It wouldn't be very hard. But I wanted to talk about this, just how school was for me. It was torture. I know that someone might hear that and say, dude, that's over the top. But listen to me. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't easy. This wasn't something I was just like, yeah, it just sucked. I hated it. And I fucking, like, no, it was something that scarred me psychologically. That made me like, it changed my perception of the fucking world for the worse. You know what I mean? It didn't give me an enlightened me like, oh man, I love the idea of combined knowledge that we all gather together. And we just have to use these combined knowledge as kind of waypoints or like oases in the desert that we would go from one to the next, leading us to enlightenment and true knowledge. As long as you go to the school system and you follow it, like, I didn't think of it like that. It was like a carrot being dangled in front of the face. It's like, I don't even like carrots, so fuck you. You know what I mean? We all rebel in our own way. That's changed me. That's created an escapist, which is what I fucking am. I just go away in my little world here and nothing's real and nothing matters, and a lot of people do that. Video games is the biggest fucking one. A lot of people do that. We just go in our little world, like, oh, I matter here. You know what I mean? My video game gives me achievements, and my friends are all online. I don't have to physically do anything. Like, it's not a crazy phenomena. It's quite natural. It's getting worse, though. And I just feel so bad for the kids that have to go to school, man. I do. When my little brother, who was 13 years younger than me, he just graduated last year. My mom hated this, but when he was going through school, I was honest with him. I was like, dude, none of this matters. She hated it so much. You're making him not give a fuck. I'm like, he shouldn't. Because, like, I just tell them, like, it's all bullshit. And all the kids there, they're phony. They're just doing what they're told. And sometimes in that reward system. And then I would go into that with him. I'm like, it's all junk. Take what you can take, but fucking pay the fucking penance and do your time and get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Like, it's hell. because I could see he was struggling with it too, and I really tried to, like, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but I'm gonna tell you, man, it ain't what you think it is, and you got to be careful. There's a lot of things to get lost in there, and you don't even realize it. You just think it's a concept. You just think it's an idea, like, oh, it's this. We can all agree to it. Like, no, it can be a fucking pitfall. My mom hated us so much. I said, we need him to just graduate. He did fine, you know. He graduated. He got through it. But I'd like to, you know, invoke in him the questioning of nature. Not everything is as it seems. I think we'll call this one my experience of the what do they call it? School system? No, educational system or whatever. We'll call it that.